to see if he's on here. He hasn't entered in the room yet.
Okay. But that's where we stand on the appropriation for the wide managing all of the parks.
Like I said, they're doing a good job. And we don't think we want to take it back over again, but he needs to give us some explanation of the line item of what things are being spent on, so we can be comfortable with it.
That's what I thought we had.
Yeah.
You know, when we went through and we looked at the budget and considered it. I thought all those, when I went through it and totaled up all of the monies that we basically have appropriated, less than 3,500 for the fuel, it came out to 205,000. But he was saying that the 205,000 is the fee for the Y with their proposal to continue to operate the parks. And that this was the first time that they had gone up, and he said they've been doing it for 4 years and doing it at the same rate. So, yeah, that was one of the things that came back and happened in the process. So, if there's no other questions or anything concerning it, then we come up with the motion to go with contingency funds to provide the additional funding.
Well, you know,
And how much is it?
12,500.
they provide a big service and it's well used and all, but I mean, it's a business too, so he needs to be here when his time comes, you know, to ask for his appropriation. He needs to be here and explain it rather than coming back like this.
I'm not real happy that either of that part of the agreement there.
I mean,
They've been doing the book equal to what we would wanted them to do. They're doing that. I mean, I don't necessarily above and beyond. They're adequately doing the job that we hired them to do. I don't want it back again. That's kind of like a suit. I don't want it back again.
Next item. We were going through and we were looking at the appointments on the planning commission. And there is one position, I think it was held by Councilman Bruton in the past. Because there is supposed to be a council member on the planning commission represented. And so I would entertain any volunteers.
would you entertain a motion?
That,
I make a motion.
When time comes, I'll definitely be entertaining.
I'll make a motion.
you may, maybe Al was on it before, right?
Al, I think he actually
He stepped down off first.
stepped down off of it.
I make a motion, Melvin.
Melvin, you,
Is this a term? Is it basically for a set amount, or in other words, after a year, it would be?
I think it's staggered terms on it, and I'm not sure they're 4 years. I've got, I had a list of the committees and commissions that I've got to go back and find. I was looking for it, yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's about 6 years because Jimison Cunningham been on it.
Wow, he died for a term.
I mean, you know, just don't worry about it. Look at our kid. We're gonna look out.
Yeah, when the time comes, they council be there, entertain that motion. We had, and this, if y'all can explain this, pearls and diamonds at the community house, they had actually gone through and rented, and so what they're asking for now is to change the date.
So they had, the regular date was for November of 2021. And then they moved it to the, December 10th, 2022. So they were supposed to, they asked to open the date, which the date was open. but her Miss Deidre, she said that, it was still booked online, it's still read on the calendar book. But in order for people to actually check the dates, they have to call the cleaners to actually book it too. And so the date was open, nobody inquired about the date. So she didn't give a date that she wanted to move it to, therefore we didn't move it either. And so they lost that deposit. And so what she's saying, they don't want to refund, they just want to be able to move it, but the deposit has already.
So is, in other words, the deposit they already made, they just want to use that for a new date.
That she said she don't feel like they should have lost their deposit because based on the online calendar, it was already showing booked, but I explained to her, in order for somebody to actually book it and to know that it's open, they have to inquire about that date, and that goes through us here. And we let them know if it's open or not, and then they can book it.
The issues we're trying to update the online.
I
calendar?
just got, Liz access to the calendar,
Okay.
so
So
she's been updating it now.
somewhere in the transition and everything, what did you have to go back and check with the issue?
Sorry.
How did you get access? Did you have to go back and talk to the issue?
No, it's going through one of the ones that Sam, the email that Sam created, and so I just had to get access to the email so that I can give her access to the email.
So what we're looking at is, would be approving for them to book another date without charging the deposit again, is what they're asking for.
Why are we on the community house? I had a call last week toward the end of the week. There was a church group that had rented the community house Friday and Saturday. All right, they were told that if they played background music, they had to pay, they had to have two security guards out there. And you know, that's not exactly what it says on this sheet. It says entertainment. So if you having a baby shower or you having a church group or something and they want to play Christmas music, I don't think we should require, they're not serving alcohol, they're not dancing, they don't have a band or anything like that. I don't think we need to require them to have security out there. We have an employee there.
Yeah.
So if they don't abide by, you know, what you're telling them, then I think they can call somebody and they can shut it down or whatever. But if somebody just wants to play background music, I mean,
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think the, and looking at that, I think the language was so vague. I think if we put in there that said either a contracted or hired entertainment, that would go back and address that. And because see, that goes back and that covers folks like, want to have all of these different events where they hire professional DJs and all these people to come.
right.
And we're not talking about that for events like that. So I'm thinking that if we just amend the language and say contracted or hired entertainment, then with that more or less clarified.
And leave the dancing part and all that, leave that all in there,
Yeah.
you know. But this guy, he works in Monroeville, but he's pastor of a church at Atmore, and it was his congregation that was.
Yeah, and I think that clarifies it. The other thing that I would like to add to that is where we go through and we talk about accepting payment. And I think we need to add to it where we would accept a check from a local business. The council doesn't have any issue with that.
Yeah, I wonder too on things like that. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people nowadays, these young folks, a lot of them, they couldn't write a check if their life depended on it. I wonder if we could maybe look at setting up a way to take debit card payments or credit card payments at City Hall.
For
rather
the
than-
security deposit,
Do I,
For the security deposit?
or any of it? I mean,
We
because
can,
we not take that?
yeah, we take debit,
I
credit
thought we
cards,
did.
we just don't accept it for the security deposit, because we give it to them the same way they give it to us.
well, if you take it for security deposit, then it goes. How long is it before it goes to that account?
But the bank says 3 to 5, so, but
So
normally
you
it's. in
You
the-
could still give it back.
We just tell them to, well, since it has been, that they have to bring a cashier's check or money. It's not like a regular check. We give the cashier's check back to them or the cash back to them. And that's how we take the security deposit, so we don't have to try to go to the bank to pull that money for them.
Yeah, can you reimburse them with a check?
They'll have to wait till Wednesday, so if their event is over and they come in like right after the event to get the money back, they'll just have to wait till Wednesday.
All right, I don't have a problem with that.
No,
I just said, we cut them on Wednesday anyway, especially if somebody out of town.
Well, see, they're used to getting their money back when they come up there and not having to wait.
Well, if it's like a check from a business, can you still hold that check like you do the
Yes,
Cashier's
well, that's
check.
what the mayor was talking
Yeah.
about for the security deposit,
Mhm.
accepting checks from local businesses.
the
If y'all voted
business
on
for
that,
sure,
that's
most
fine.
of them don't deal in cash.
Mhm. And we'll just give their check right back to them.
So in the regular council session, we're gonna need to amend a motion to amend the policy for the community house to reflect, contracted and hired entertainment and the acceptance of checks from local business. Okay, had a request from, Mr. Pete Black concerning the food bank operation at the community house. And, I think we have in the past gone back and charged them half the rate for that. And I don't know exactly how, the council wants to, proceed with this, but they are providing a community service. Do we want to continue to charge them half rate, or since it is a community service that they're providing, they really don't go in, do anything in the community house, they're just pulling up under the shed and issuing the groceries. Is there a need to charge for them to provide a community service?
I feel very warm towards them, what they're doing. We went, made a discussion years ago about, we start picking and choosing if we do not set a policy. The policy is we will allow events like chamber and like them and like other things half around. But we do not give a freebie for that. And that's the only thing I have against that. Then we're gonna get into like some of these modifications of this rental kind of thing. Something comes up for a particular case and then you wind up saying, okay, what other events will we look at not charging? I don't know. I agree with the fact that, yes, they do very little traffic on inside and there's some, but not anything major cleanup or anything like that. They do tie it up that day, but that's all they do.
Well, I think half roll is what, 250? Okay. That'd be what, 3,000 a year? Okay.
I feel towards, if they do a yearly rate, do something along that lines, maybe as far as eliminated for them. We don't get it if they have other item.
Okay. Well, with the council could entertain, but I think we do have some funding, and last year we paid for that, ARP funding. With the council entertain, a motion to charge it to our ARP funds for this year also.
I'd be more set with that and trying to eliminate a rental, because we'll get into other people that have worthy causes. We also gotta, we have to have.
Melvin, if I could interject real quick, I think that the concept of community service as opposed to a community event, that's the difference that was being brought up. If it's a community service, maybe that didn't qualify as like the chamber event.
Yeah.
So maybe a community service would be
More agreeable to that part of it. But I still think what,
So basically,
if we get by with it this way, let's get by with it this way. And go from there.
right, and then possibly discuss with him in the future doing a year.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. On Thursday, we're going to and we're providing a safety luncheon and everything for the city employees. And at which time afterwards, I have some requests about it'll probably be over 1 o'clock. Would we be able to dismiss non-essential employees at that point? Something I'm bringing to the council and ask y'all to entertain the idea. And we'll see where we see from there. Okay. Michael, you got any?
No, if we had a safety meeting up here,
Right,
Thursday morning at 9,
right.
and, then we'll have lunch at 12 at the community hall. And then we just, basically it'd be the city hall and public work would do the early.
Well, don't leave if you want to. Well, yeah, everybody can come. Okay. The next item I have on here is that Alabama Power, I guess went through and did an inventory, and they found where they missed a street light. And did they say what the location was?
They never did give me the.
Now, they supposed to remove 2 of them, and they hadn't said he wasn't gonna do that. That one by Gate and that one on Horley needs to be taken off.
Well, now, the council never agreed to take them down.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, they're not needed.
Well,
And his comment was when he told us, he said, we wind up don't need as much lights when they were selling us. the service.
well, now, the thing about it, over like on Drury Road and, Hornady, one is shining on Hornady and one on Drury
But
Road.
there's no need for both of them lights there.
But if y'all wanna take one of them down now,
When there is no reason, can you give me a reason why both of them lights need to be up? And then the one is on Agricultural Drive, they've got a floodlight over the top of it, does not let it come on. Alabama Southern. The light never comes on, so it's not being used at all. They have a floodlight, and it's on a light sensor that's shining on that parking lot, and does not let that light ever come on. So there's no reason for that light to be there, no need for it to be paid for.
Well, I did talk to Tripp. He said this one right here is not on the bill yet. They don't start it until the council signs off, well, until somebody from the city signs off on it, which would be the mayor. He said, but it was the orange that's overlooked. And when they looked at it, they realized they had missed it, and so that's why they set it up here. So that they can get
So
it installed.
they can wash it, they
Yeah.
can let that one go on and cut that other one off and recharge it.
Okay, if they don't wash it, he said it wouldn't be no more than $10 on the bill.
I mean, they
so you saying take the one off of agriculture, swap out for the one.
if that's what I still don't think we need the other one, but anyway, that one is not being used. When I go by there, it doesn't ever turn on. The floodlight that Alabama Southern paying for is right above it shining on the sensor and it never comes on.
But that would take that one down on agriculture and then just replace it with the one that they missed. And that way, I'll leave that now. If y'all wanna,
Let's see, I can tell you exactly.
I do not see any reason why both the lights on that same pole, one down one way, one down the other.
Let me see, I can tell you which one here. I printed it, I thought it was from Trip Ward. Let me find it.
Now, on the southern side not to do theirs, they're not, this light ain't gonna give them enough light for what they're gonna do, they're gonna shine that parking lot.
They gonna cut all theirs off for long.
Yeah, they're hitting that there real quick.
They shut it down.
We're taking out all these.
Okay, according to this, he says is at the Highway 21 bypass and George H. Freer Road. In Monroeville.
Yeah.
So that would be,
But there was a new part to it.
right, and so, I think what it is to install the new LED fixture to be put there, and they missed it when they did the other installation. So, because all that stuff is done on the contract, in order to add this light to there, we would have to amend the contract or do another contract for it. And so that would take council approval. So, I don't know if y'all want that light there, or if you want me, if we need to send Trip a list of where you saying we don't need these there anymore.
I mean, the agricultural drive one is useless, because it's never used, because there's a floodlight out and doesn't shine right on top of it. It's shining that parking lot, and it never lets that.
Is it an LED or? do you know?
It's LED, they replace,
So they could just move it to George Freer. then?
that's what I'm saying.
Well, no, that's a totally different light.
Is
On
it?
the bypass, state's got different regulations, which is for the, it's a different
But
thing.
now, is there a light there presently, but just not the correct one?
I hadn't really looked at
It
it.
sounds like they just didn't block the light out, and they have a light there, but it's not correct.
He says, while in Monroe this week, our lighting market specialist noticed a light that was missed during the LED conversion project. And he said they have a proposed lease agreement. I could print it out, I couldn't find it just then. In consideration of a new LED fixture to be installed at Highway 21 bypass of George H. Freer. So that would be one additional light. And what we're saying is that we may need to relocate a light.
Well, just swap them, whatever, need to take the other one off the bill. If they, however they want to handle that.
Mike, would you contact Trip Ward
Yeah.
and see if what we can do?
Well, he sat in here and told us, he said, we may not need all these lights when we get all these things in, that was his selling point.
Yeah.
And then when I asked him about that, he said, well, you're on a contract, you're not gonna be able to change now. And that was the comment he made there also. When I asked about them other two, now there was that one across from the gate, that got knocked down when that had that accident, knocked that pole out, and they went back and put that one.
Okay.
That's it. But there's, if we're gonna change it for this, we need to be able to change it for the other. At least get that one knocked out.
All right. The next item would be the promotion of Jacorian McCall from the laborer to the equipment operator one at $11.14 per hour. And anyway, Mike, that's your recommendation?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then the next item that will come up would be to advertise for two equipment operator twos at $13.98 per hour. And then you also need to advertise for a laborer, another laborer at the rate of $10.26 per hour.
You're gonna hear it for advertising.
Okay. And then a new hire, a Titus Let, as a custodian at $10.26 per hour, and that's to go along with the community.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I also have a resolution here, 2022-12-003, which is network security policies and procedures. And we're asking the council to go back and adopt these. We have applied for a grant through Leah. And one of the requirements on there was that we had to have a network security policies and procedures, which we did not have. So Brian worked with the police department, Brian House, and developed these policies and procedures. And so for us to apply for further grants with Aaliyah, we have to have this in place. Okay. The next item is ordinance 2022-12-001. And this is an amendment to the zoning ordinance for a medical cannabis dispensary. And the planning commission has already met on this and they approved for it to be changed and allowed in B2 business districts, correct?
Correct.
Which in this ordinance would cover for pharmacy and medical cannabis dispensaries in a B2 business district.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then the next is a resolution of 2022-12-004. And this is a resolution declaring the city holidays for 2023. Now, I also will, in conjunction with the ordinance up here, where the council had passed a resolution authorizing a medical marijuana dispensary, which has been posted on the website of the board, the state board, that they are also asking for a ordinance allowing for a medical marijuana dispensary within the city that is in conjunction with the resolution that's already been passed. Okay. And the next item that will come up for discussion is about hiring Mr. Bob Crawford to complete emergency inspections as needed. And this basically goes back related to when Tim is not here. Alabama Power has put in a new process by which all this stuff is done via an app. Correct?
Correct.
And so it would either be on the computer or on cell phone. And when we're not here, if they have such a need, go ahead and explain.
Like if there's a thunderstorm or a ice storm or something like that, and the limb breaks off and it hits the power line and pulls it off the house, they gotta pull the meter and then they gotta reset it. This would cover that. So Alabama Power will not connect power to anything in the city of Monroeville or the police jurisdiction until the building department has signed off on it. So they have a new app and like you cannot call in to get a phone, you can't call in to anybody to get phone to get service anymore. It has to go through the building department or one of their, in our situation, it has to be generated by the app. In other words, there's nobody for me to call anymore. The phone doesn't go anywhere. So if I'm out of town or if I'm on vacation or some extended period or something like that, this would be a on-call basis for Bob to go and do the inspection and get the power turned back on. So someone's freezer doesn't melt.
Now, there is a fee that we do charge to do that.
Typically, we charge a $25 inspection fee. And I was thinking that we could increase the emergency inspection fee to $35 and then pay the inspector, which would be Bob, $25 per incident. And then if I went out of town, I would give him my cell phone and then he could call in that reconnect. Now, that's only happened once since I've been here.
So, any questions or discussion concerning this for Tim?
And the third person in the line is Billy Black. But he might be out of town too, especially during hunting season.
Our cases now, you know.
Do that $25 cover, only two addition to that, we charge $25 that for.
But
They don't allow a licensed electrician to do that.
No. And this is, so, let's say if I'm going on vacation time or something. All the electricians know 2 weeks in advance that I'm gonna be out, so if there's something coming up, we need to coordinate it. So this only applies to emergency kind of situation.
Yeah, one other issue I'd like to discuss with the council. You know, we ran into a situation once concerning payroll and coming up on holidays, and I think we actually went through and we passed a resolution and authorized the issuance of paper checks. Which is the pretty much situation that's going to be coming up this week. And I had a situation brought to mind that we passed a resolution to it concerning, since it's not in direct deposit. And there's one person that has requested to get their paper check, I guess, as early as possible. But the way that our system is set up, we can't issue it until everything is processed. So this would be a complete exception to the resolution and everything that we have gone through and passed. And it's just one of those countries out there. I know it's inconvenient for one person, but you know, do we bring the whole system down? I don't know. I was trying to amend it to deal with it in the way that the bank says would take a complete rework of the way we do payroll and what it takes to adjust. I think in most cases, what happens, in a lot of cases, you have other entities that when you start work with them, they hold a check in a weekend arrears. And so that gives, when you got automatic, ACH deposits coming up, everything is already done and it hits the bank, but that's not quite the way that we do it. So that's why we end up issuing the paper checks.
So that's what you would do first.
We will issue paper checks Thursday, but I think the request is to get it earlier than that. Since it being out of town.
No, the request is to get it direct deposit, and if they can't get it direct deposit, would it be ready between 8 and 9? But we're just opening that 8. And so, and she has to go through the whole payroll process in order to print the checks and everything. We're not doing direct deposit because of what was passed. And if we do direct deposit, it doesn't hit the bank until they're gonna be closed on that Friday. So it won't hit until that Monday, when they're able to come back in and process it.
The bank's gonna be closed Friday.
Mhm.
I thought it was gonna be Monday. Don't tear the whole system down.
I'm just interject something. At the college, we had the same issues like that, and we required everybody to be on automatic deposit. But when we had an issue where payday was on a holiday like that, they always deposited it, and everybody.
Which that was the problem that came up, they didn't deposit it early. And you hit the account, but nobody was there according to them to process it. And so that's why we had.
Well, I mean, what we did was get in touch with, because we, with the college, I was working in, Phoenix City at the time. What we did, because we had banks all over the place, Georgia and Alabama, and just all up and down the state line. But, anyway, what we did was just contacted every bank and found out those hours. And we deposited, we did it early enough in there, and you can put a hold on it. When it could be in at those banks, you could put a hold on it so that it didn't release before the last day that it was gonna be collected in that, checking account.
No, so we contacted them, normally they said that they would get the, bank account earlier if we did it 2 days early.
We had some like that. We did have some like that, but we just did it that way.
Let me ask you a question. Why you gotta take down the whole system, just cut one check?
I'm not taking it down, that's up to y'all.
I'm talking about just like,
Mhm.
yeah, well, I'm saying is like, if it's the person time there, right?
Mhm.
And, I'm trying to figure out a way like, just to cut that one check, I don't understand why you gotta take the whole system. Just do one check.
See, as I understand it, tell me if I'm wrong, our payroll, like the week we're in right now,
Right, that's right,
when we pay Thursday, we're paying them for that very week.
that's right, right.
So that's the problem. There's no gap there.
You know, I'm a week back.
Yeah, that's right.
We did, I'll just say, we did that at college as well.
Yeah, you see, I think that's where it comes in, is if where, if that there's a weekend arrears. So if we turn around and we hold a weekend arrears, you have people, at this point, you have people going another week without a check. And so, you know,
Well, this request was, an emergency, as was stated. And she wants to know if we can get direct deposit or the check, the paper check can be cut as soon as possible.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, well,
what
You see what I'm
they're
saying?
saying is,
yeah, I agree.
what they're saying is to get the check between 8 and 9.
Mhm.
And we don't have everything in to process the payroll, and payroll probably won't get processed until after that time.
Mhm.
So you're talking about pulling one person out to process that as part of the payroll. And then, which means it interacts with other systems.
Mhm.
So then you gotta come back and do it all over again. Is that basically what you're saying? I don't know, it's been a complicated situation ever since. Since I did it, but I know in one instance, it ended up happening. I ended up having to call the president of the bank to try and get it resolved, and still that got direct deposit in, but because of the holiday, it didn't get processed by the other banks till that month. So you still didn't get your.
Well, if that person gonna need the money, maybe somebody will let him have whatever he would like to have. Ken said he would be too glad to let whoever it is.
You wanna let him go?
Ken said he'll be too glad to let that go. If it's an emergency.
Cash and
Now, Melvin, you should be able to do.
cash and dance, so.
Who is the person?
Well, I don't know, all I can, I know we passed a resolution regarding it, and I don't think I have the authority to override resolution passed by the council.
It's gonna open a whole nother can of issuing checks
Kind
and
of like the other
emergencies
thing,
every
about
time.
you do this and you're gonna get into something else down the road.
But if it's an emergency, we need to
They
try to.
they got an option, either not have the money in or either wait with all the check to be cashed.
Maybe suggest they have somebody come out and pick up the check and deposit it for them.
Anthony, you.
Yeah, 'cause you don't have to sign one to deposit to account. So somebody else could actually pick it up and take it to the bank, put it in their account.
Can you figure out a way to like, this, even a holiday like this, they got a way to, this is why people like direct deposit, because if they're out of town, all this good stuff, they don't really have access to the check. And we figure out a way between now and next year to make that work for them.
Well, but according to the bank that we deal with, that we can still send it there for direct deposit. But because of when we do our drawdown, the money, it won't match up with the money coming,
So,
being in the account to make the transfer from that bank to whichever other bank is out.
so we run payroll on Thursday. And let's say that holiday falls on Friday. In order for us to get it to the bank, for them to process it and get it out and get by at midnight, we'll have to do it 2 days before, because, and then it'll require us entering in hours. And people, we wouldn't know if they were actually here or not, but we'll have to put those hours in for them. In order for them not to miss those 2 days on their check.
Well, I think that's probably gonna be a topic for another, I can see it being a whole different bailiwick than today. So, if they can make arrangements, I guess somebody pick that check up and deposit it for them. Because the way I understand it, once you try and cut that separate check, then all that goes in and it hits and reflects off the retirement system. Then you gotta come back and do all that stuff all over again to run the regular checks and, I think we just have to stick with what we do.
And
Leave it like it is.
And the deal too is that all city employees are hourly employees, right? So that applies. So it's a whole citywide employment. So,
But I know some banks, I know this bank, we get behind on things, I mean, we get our check on time. We don't have it, but this don't, I know, it don't add up right.
Well, I like to say, I think what it goes back to is, because basically everywhere I went, you got paid a week in arrears. And we don't pay a week in arrears.
That's what we just, how we do it, mail.
Yeah.
The week you work in, it goes in on Monday, and the funds come out on Thursday, you already got that behind, and there's no.
Just right.
That's why it works like we did it out Monday.
Could they do time sheets for that week, and then if someone didn't work, you could take it from their vacation?
Then you get into another problem, yeah.
I mean, if they didn't work, then you could take it from vacation. That's the reason we were allowed to do it in college.
And now, was it hourly folks in college with a salary?
It was hourly.
I figure a lot of teachers and stuff like that, certainly salary.
Teachers were not a problem because they were all on salary, but you have janitors and
Okay.
different folks like that.
I got another question. Can you change the payroll date to make it work? Something like that? And y'all maybe change the payroll date to make it work.
Could do just like we said, turn around, do it in arrears, and get paid that way, and then take care of it.
What you're gonna do about that 1 week gap? You gotta pay them for that or not, or, that's the question, if you might change the way it's done. So,
Put that Chief Black and Chief, don't figure that out. Y'all got a way? Y'all know what we can do to make it work?
There's discussion in the department head meeting, and for the most part, every holiday is either on a Friday, Sunday, or Monday, with the exception of Christmas and Veterans Day. If we moved our payroll pay period back to end, say, a Sunday or a Monday, you would have Tuesday, Wednesday to get it put in.
That's how I'm saying, like we do that,
And
time goes in the week after on Monday, and you get paid on.
we, I know we had it one time, I think Dustin actually, it affected him. We had direct deposit on Thursday, and it was a holiday or whatever that Friday. and people's money didn't go in until Monday. And Regions Bank had an issue, and it was even later than that before they got their payroll. Wasn't that you?
It was. And we work just like y'all do. Our system is, our payroll ends on Wednesday. We turn it in on Thursday and we're paid on Friday. We're not a week in the rear, and we've never had an issue. Never. We get paid, it's there every time. And if it's a holiday coming up, we just do payroll one day early. And
But us, we're not paying weekly.
Mhm.
Often,
No.
2 weeks, see, so that muddies it up, so, you know, that would be the other option to look at too. One would be the arrears, the other one would be, a weekly. Like we're talking about one person.
The county used CARES money to get into that rears thing. They covered payroll for the week that with the CARES money, and then they started paying them in the rear. But they pay by the month, most, like all theirs, they pay by the month.
Well, they've been switching back and forth.
Yeah, they back. Yeah, they back. They're still in the rear. They're not estimating time cards anymore. And they use CARES money to cover, it, so nobody lost any money.
Yeah, that's what we can do. Pay you twice and get it over with.
But actually, the city wouldn't lose any money either, because they would
Yeah.
retain that week and pay you the next week.
And then don't forget about, setting a public hearing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we do need to come back and schedule a public hearing. And the purpose of that public hearing is to discuss tax incentives for the meat packing company or the meat processing company that is finally approaching coming on board, coming online. And so we will be looking at the second council meeting in January. They're correct to schedule the hearing. And so that being the case, we just have to entertain a motion at that point when it comes up. We need to make a note of it. Y'all not gonna let it get out.
What was that?
Stop laughing, tell me, don't let me get that. I said,
I'm writing it in big notes, big letters down here. Okay, well, I think that pretty much covered everything on here. Let's see, Councilman Foley?
You want to discuss the animal shelter?
Yes.
In my recollections, when we were talking about animal shelter, we wanted to do something, we were going to do our, actually our 40,000 or whatever that number is, we were going to do that again. But they had requested some additional stuff, and they asked for, I think, $8,000 for fencing and kennel. That number, anybody else remembers on that? Well, they did not get that, so it was some question about it. When we cut things back, they got cut. And if we still want to do it, and the mayor maybe will answer that question a little more. And that is a need that they have, and we had agreed that we would help this year in some project, and that was the one that they requested for.
Right, I'm gonna ask Ms. Hunt to go back and, pull what that file was. I think that it was $8,000 total, which was an increase, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was above and beyond a normal, whatever, 40 or something we've been giving them for years.
Right.
The county this time did go up a little bit on the other one of it. And that was a need that they had, and they said, well, give us a need, and we'd be instant looking at need, we agreed at that time for that, but, you know, we looked, there was other things, looking at budget cuts and trying to make some things wash and stuff. They just asked when they went to look to get money to do that, there was not money there to do that.
And I'll go back and I ask Ms. Hunt to, I'll be prepared to give you a recommendation if it works through the first meeting in January. Okay, Councilman Hines?
On the CDs that we did, we, did those with cadence.
What we did was, because I got split reactions, so we pulled the CDs out. And we're gonna go back and, make the deposit, and I think in the minutes on there, it said for me to go through and make a decision as to which bank to go back and put it back in. I got kind of feedback from both banks, so I have not put them back in yet. I know on both of them, we had where the return would be 2.5% on 2 responses.
What I wish we could do is maybe 6 weeks out from the due date, if we could just advertise, you know, for all the banks, because I had one bank that somebody, nobody from that bank told me, but somebody that, you know, he said, she said stuff that nobody ever come, they had never been contacted about, you know, doing that. But if we could do that and just set it up and let it go, but what kind of got me with the deal that we talked about last time, they came up with, what was it, 0.04. And then when they found out there was a possibility they weren't gonna get it, they made a mistake. Oh, we made a mistake. We can do 2.5%. Well, there's a lot of difference between 0.04 and 2.5. And I don't like you know, them doing stuff.
The question was also, did they get correctly asked what we were going to do? I mean, if we just gonna roll it over, that is, once they roll over the thing, but if you want to renegotiate a new thing. And there was something about municipality versus private too, and the question was not asked correctly by my.
But then when it was asked,
Yeah.
both of them said 2.5.
Yeah.
So
But I think in the case where they were originally, the person that was contacted about the renewal rate on it, they just went back and looked at what was on the old one and gave us that quote. And so, you know, I do know that it had come back because I asked Ms. Hunt specifically to go back and look in the minutes. And in the minutes, we came back and said, based on the rate for me to go ahead and make the final decision. And I know I got feedback kind of, you know, both ways, so I really haven't been positive.
and I know it's a difference between, you know, private funds and public
Right.
funds, but I know private funds, $100,000 was like 4%. So we can negotiate these things like every 6 weeks ahead, what I'd say like 6 weeks before the maturity date. If we could just advertise, everybody, give everybody a shot at it, you know, just a suggestion.
Okay. I agree with that. No, I don't see a problem with it.
It's just renew it.
That was the reason, you know, when we got the notice and we came back, and that's why I brought it up. You know, and then when they came back and said 0.04%, but with all the interest rates the way that they are now, I think that's coming to work.
And when they seen it to you, you really didn't have time.
But they gave a 30-day notice.
But then the way council meetings follow and all that.
And then you have a 10-day grace period after the 30-day notice.
And that's what we got called in, we got the notice, but then we had to go into the grace period before council meeting. Well, look, now, I'm not calling a special meeting off. What we do.
So for the next one, y'all just want me to send it out 6 weeks earlier to every bank in the area. Yeah.
That's what I did. Yeah, if it was my money, that's what I'd do.
We can do it. Councilman Holmes? Yeah. Councilman. Councilman Dennis?
Michael, could you check on W.T. Brown Street and see if we could use another street light? It's so dark up in there.
There's no pole running down the curve.
Oh, so that's the reason why you can't put one?
Yeah, there's.
What about
that
right-
Power lines running there.
What about right there by my house? Is one there?
Yeah, that's where the power comes in.
So it's impossible to put.
You have to pay to have a pole and everything.
Well, maybe the city can pay.
Why you pass those out?
You'd be looking at, by the time they put a pole on up, put a light up, with the pole, you pole on, that probably $2,000.
I thought they had a like that.
I never.
Yeah, we did. If you come by, I'll show you.
I come over that way and look at it.
Yeah, maybe, maybe next month. You can
The
come.
one I remember is the one up there, right there close to your house, and then right there, as soon as you turn in, there.
You just come by and do that.
Councilman Brewer?
Yes,
One other thing, I just asked Ms. Hunt to pass this out. We had applied for these different grants with ADM to address stormwater. And they come back and I got a notice from them today that they were moving, these projects for FY 2023 funding consideration. So, FY 2022, they did not get them considered, but they are moving it to FY 2023. Which means it's still possible that we can get the funding for these drainage projects. Okay, Mike, you got Ms. Bruton, Chief Black, Chief Armstrong.
Just that, we've had a bunch of, auto burglaries, but the doors have been unlocked. From Canterbury over to Burgess. People are getting out on the line after us, they're getting the videos and they're pulling doors. Not breaking into the cars, but the cars are unlocked. We had 5 today that. One vehicle had $4,000 in it. And it was unlocked. So we were gonna ask if there's some city pages, they're on that page. But it's that time of year. We've had 3 go-ins and then that one was taken last night.
As I saw a video on the news last night in Spanish Fort. Somebody going around like 2 o'clock in the morning. Shutting down.
And they just circle around until we get something and they pick them up. We got the problem video, but you can't tell them.
Tim?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that, the opioid, settlement. I spoke to Miss Lisa and Miss, and Chipper. They just made the first payment, and they're trying to find out the amount. I am gonna be creating another account for it because those funds can only be used in a certain way. And so, and they do the audit on those funds, so
They provide the guidelines on.
they did. And I can send it out to you.
Ms. Smith? Okay. All right.
Y'all have any questions about meat processing center and Dustin's here? They have, so I can't.
Who recommends? Who recommends? This is for the incentive on meat
Yes.
processing.
We just never really finished that up and made that request originally. Also financing and things that were happening, so. But they are going to move forward now, they have the financing in mind. Now the owners of the business are, Margie Jordan and Jessica Kilgore. They're the owners, of the business. And, just to update you a little bit, the county voted last week to not only help with, the labor clearing the property, but they're also going to provide materials. And when I say materials, I don't mean construction materials, I mean site prep materials such as gravel and dirt. And so they voted to do that last week. Their construction cost has gone up considerably, which for the city might be a good thing because, you know, they're having more investment here. We can talk about investment here, but, they're asking people all to consider incentivizing the project and giving them, you know, the tax abatements, and we'll have the analysis. Couldn't get the analysis done in time for this meeting, but, asking for them, for the tax abatements to help with them get the project. You know, we help them more with the project, but nothing out of the ordinary. And they are going to create 10 jobs, so that will be keeping money rotated here. They're using a local construction company.
The calculations for the abatements, we do have the information that we can distribute next council.
At the next council meeting.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, third, that's the problem. I get the initial analysis from the state.
Okay.
And the state. I will have it.
So we can send it out. Probably, like we do other things, we can send.
Last thing.
Probably won't have it ready. By the time of the next council meeting. That would be-
Okay, well, I could finish up work session about 10 minutes early.
If it's,
We'll have a public hearing then. That's right, that's right, we don't have.
No public hearing today.
Yeah, it had to be.
That could be. That could be a. Yeah, that was.
is it in a way possible that the city can buy the candy for the Dr. King State Parade? But
Yeah.
I noticed you didn't have but just one little old something for the Christmas parade. We should be able to buy some candy. The city should be able to buy it. We did it when Mike Kennedy was here. He always bought
Get the city back in and for money.
for all of the parades. We can't,
You can't buy food.
so what?
You can't buy food with that budget.
I thought we did once upon a time when,
It may have been, you know, that during that time. For the, what the lead told us and the auditors and, you know, all of the guys.
I guess we just got by doing that. time.
Taking one before and there.
We might get by this. It was.
I don't know. I've been buying boxes of candy.
But you didn't have a.
That's that much. Maybe they did donations for it.
I haven't.
For taste for the candy. I said, maybe, I said, maybe they did donations to pay for the candy.
So what?
Maybe they did donations to pay for the candy.
I think that donations from businesses. I don't know what it goes to.
Oh, okay.
I bought December 22nd.
So what? $60 and didn't have any.
That means.
How much did you buy? Oh, $60.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Just
Yeah.
passed.
That's the guy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I asked-
Let's talk.
Mayor, I asked a question. On Christmas next year, don't most businesses take either one before day or one after? This year it's gonna be 5 days.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask y'all to. Because I was looking at it on. Okay.
So Christmas is the worst, and the actual worst, Monday.
It's on Monday. I would think you would take Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, not Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I mean. Okay.
Okay. So we're saying Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Most businesses, or most, everything takes, like the banks, either the day before or the day after, when they.
Because Tuesday is the what, 26th?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're going to add a day to it, then should not be one on the front end with a Saturday and Sunday before.
So when
You can't count the weekend.
Well, see, I didn't have it.
That's it. You can take a day before or a day after the holiday to extend it. If it was in the middle of the week, wouldn't you take Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and that'd be it?
We take a day before, a day of, and a day out. That's what I'm saying. So next year, we should take Friday, we have Monday, and we have Tuesday, something like that.
5 days off.
Well, we straight baby, we're not shifting. See what that shift, you're on straight days, it's a different ball game. I can look at it, we can look at it and come back. But I don't.
the Christmas Eve on Sunday. Day on Monday.
I had no problem understanding the day after. Thursday, ought to be included, Friday, ought to be included in that period.
Other than that, it's Friday, do it different.
Yeah, because, Christmas falls on
Sunday.
Sunday, so it's that Friday and then that Tuesday. Yeah. That Friday and then that Monday. Yeah.
Come back and see.
Mhm.
Next year.
I could go back and correct it, right?
Yeah, I just, that just stuck out at me.
We get 2 days.
Y'all get that.
We get 2 days, we're gonna take them both Thursday and Friday. Exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. And that's what. Seriously, most do.
So we'll have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Which one?
Right. Yeah.
So we say it's doing that.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Okay. Friday.
Okay, I got you.
And so it'll be Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
You can Saturday, Sunday.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Al, did you make?
Have to give my daughter-in-law credit on that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't know you down.
Yeah, Peter's wife, and he does a little baking business.
She did too. She did in Monroe.
Mhm. Yeah, then here on the east side. Mhm.
But she's in the field.
Mhm.
That's that.
Because it
Do I need
deals with-
That's Saturday.
So,
So do I need to say this or? Because we don't get paid on this weekly because we're off. So I don't know how it works. That's why I put it like that, but I didn't know there was a question that I was gonna ask, but I could kind of figure that.
I think if people get paid on holidays, like next year,
For holidays?
like next year. How I feel on the sheet right here.
The calendar.
The calendar.
Oh. Let's see, we got a 2 week delay on our payroll, so it's not a problem for us.
Well,
You trying to figure out the holiday for Christmas. For the city.
Okay.
And, you said that you should get Friday off. Here and there.
They should get Friday off.
On the weekend too.
What is it, Sunday and Monday next week? I mean, next year.
Monday. It's on Monday. So they should get Friday and Tuesday. The guy already be up on that.
Yeah, the 24th is Sunday and 25th is Monday. So it'd either be the 22nd or the 26th. Or, yeah, I wouldn't do that because I'm getting the 25th on.
22nd and 26th.
see, that's what it's on here now, and discussion is,
But yeah, the Monday is a weekday, so we only need one of those, not both of them, but one of them, either the 22nd or. Is that not right?
The way like the, you'll be off. So
Makes sense.
that's.
But the 25th is on a Monday.
And so you're saying you know that.
Well, yeah, 25th and 26th. I don't know how it's been.
Yeah, definitely.
Paid holidays are different.
I think they get all this year.
They get two.
They get two, right?
they got two issues, they got, Friday, which is
Friday and Monday.
Friday and Monday.
But that's because both of them are weekend, days,
Those on weekend days.
24th and 25th.
You're getting that time on it.
So.
If you do it the other way, you'll be giving them 3 days.
Christmas is a holiday, you're paying after.
So like they were saying now, we're getting you 2 paid holidays by doing the 25th and 26th next year.
Right.
You still get your 2 paid holidays.
But we don't work Sunday, so we would we'd lose a day, we'd lose the holiday. The ones of us that don't work weekends would lose the holiday.
Oh, because we're giving you Tuesday. the
Next year it's
26th.
on Monday and you get paid Tuesday. That's 2 days. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. So we're moving it back, if you don't get Christmas Day Eve because you're off Sunday, but you will get the day after. Most businesses or most,
Yeah.
whatever, they pay a day before, a day after the holiday, it gives them how it is. You get
So y'all
Christmas
telling
Eve
me
and
to
Christmas-
change it to the 24th, 25th, and 26th? Yeah, instead of the
you get
22nd
Saturday,
and the 26th.
you're off Saturday, Sunday, but you get paid for
The
Monday.
official holidays will be the 25th and 26th.
Yeah, I'll be paying 26. Because Christmas Eve, Christmas, now next year after, you're gonna want to
I
be
get,
paid
yeah,
before.
I see.
So just put 25th, 26th on.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, otherwise you'd be getting 3 next year instead of 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get 3 days?
No.
Yeah, you're gonna get off. You're gonna get-
I like 5 days. but-
You're welcome to. You can take off.
Sunday.
Right.
So we're gonna be off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
You get paid for.
Unless you get called in.
On Sunday, you'll get the day after.
Okay.
Okay.
Instead of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, go first.
Okay, the time is actually 5:04 p.m. I'd like to call the open session of the city council meeting of the city of Monroeville to order. We begin with invocation by
Reverend Horn.
I was about to say Chief Horn, but Pastor Horn.
Father God, in the name of Jesus, we give honor today, Lord, for the mayor of this city and councilmen, all of the ones that are in charge of men and women that patrol and go to and fro in the highways and byways of this city, Father God. Lord, we asking you for your blessings to continue within this city, Lord. Put your glory all around our city during these holidays, Father God. Let no hurt, harm, or danger come up to any, Father God. As we go this week through this cold front, Father God, we asking you to watch over our elderly, Father God. If anyone needs any place to stay, that you will be able to provide it for them, Father God. We asking you to just take care of our city. Just look down on us, Father, because we need you more than we ever needed you before. Lord, we ask you to just bless our mayor, bless our council members, Father God, bless all of our people that's in charge, our supervisors. And Lord, just bless us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the work session is held on December 6, 2022 at 3:45 p.m. Public hearing is held on December 6, 2022 at 4:50 p.m. And for the regular meeting is held on December 6, 2022 at 5 p.m. Do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes? Make a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay. The next item on the agenda is for privileges of the floor for Ms. Leslie Finkley. At this time, we will recognize Ms. Finkley with the, and to note that, you know, we do have a 5-minute limitation on presentation.
How are you guys?
Hey,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Leslie Finkley. If you can't hear me, please let me know. So my reason for coming forth today is a meeting was held, and unfortunately I couldn't be here for medical reasons. That meeting affected me personally, but it also affected the community. You guys were asked to vote on a street being changed to a one-way. There were specific questions asked because there was no one from the community. The only person able to ask questions was our Miss Mandy, our chief. So the questions that she posed and asked concerning the one way was whether or not people would begin to park on the street. Unfortunately, they're parking on the street. They're parking on my property. And it has made it more congested and more dangerous. I was able to send a few items to you guys earlier. I'm not sure if they came through to the email that I found online. However, I just wanted to share a few key points. There was a notice that was found, but the notice didn't specify which way that one way would be, okay? If I were reading that notice, which I got later on, but if I were reading that notice, I would think that the one way would go in the same direction as the mailbox. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell the direction of the actual one way. So I would never have known that I would be affected, even if I were to get that correspondence. From a personal note, as far as mail goes, I have a son in college. He almost got kicked out because I did not get the mail. I have an IRS bill. I'm having to pay penalties on that bill because I never received that bill. I had no idea that the road would be changed, but from a personal note, for the road to be changed, and I spent the last 2 weeks, right now they can't find the last two weeks worth of batches of my mail. It's affecting me on a personal level, and it's affecting me the greatest because I live right across from that street. I'm attached to that street. Now, I was able to send you guys a map. I'm hoping that you guys were able to receive that map. In purple, you're gonna see my personal residence. In blue, you're gonna see the actual park, okay? You'll notice that the land for the park has the parking on the left and right side of the park, okay? My property is gonna be behind the park. Therefore, if there were a need for people from that park to be crossing, their need would be to the left and to the right, which you guys place sidewalks, you place crosswalking. There's no need for anyone to go from the park to our personal property. When you go online or you go to USDOT, it tells you in the infrastructure and planning that one-ways can increase crime. It tells you that one-ways make cars actually drive faster. The reason for a one-way is to protect pedestrians. Pedestrians have no reason to cross the street into our personal property. In addition, the person who came before you drives that one way in the opposite direction of what she came to you for, which I do have video if you guys would like me to forward. In addition, if she wants her trash picked up, she'll put it in my yard. If she allows them to come on the opposite direction to where she has the one way. I was able to speak with 2 asphalt companies. They're willing to help and install bumpers so that we can slow traffic. Because in speaking with yourselves as well as her, she notified me that the reason for doing it was to slow traffic. In your minutes, it states that the reason for doing it is to slow traffic. One-ways increase traffic. They increase speed. They increase the possibility of someone actually getting hit and into an accident. There hasn't been an accident on that street in 7 years. There is no reason for a one-way. But more importantly, a one-way defeats the purpose that you guys are trying to achieve by having it. I ask that it be changed back to a two-way street. Thank you.
Thank you. The council will take your comments under consideration. And at some point, we will come back and address that, not at this meeting, but look at it next council meeting.
Which road again is this?
One come up George Career.
Okay, the one that runs behind that park. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. The next item on the agenda has been a request for the approval of the Pearls and Diamonds date move for the community house. And Ms. Hunt, did they give a specific date?
I think the date is in that letter that I gave you.
I see it. Transfer to a new rental date.
She doesn't list one in there.
No.
Okay.
They just want to know if we could do it and then they're gonna give us the date later. They could do. They just want to know if we're gonna let them do it and then they'll give us the date later, but maybe they should have given us the date this time. That's what you want.
That's all I was looking for, the proposed date.
I think they would know if we was gonna let them do it and then. They give us a date. It might be.
I think that maybe we need to table this until we get a date.
You're fine. I make a motion to table.
Okay, is there a motion to table, this item at the request of Pearls and Diamonds Social Club? Until, we receive a solid date for the booking. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay, the next item on the agenda is approval for community house, use for the, by Pete Black for the monthly food bank. And I think that I will entertain a motion for the council to, continue to provide it at half fee rental, payable from ARP funds. So do I have a motion to provide the, extend the community house rental agreement for the food bank as requested by Pete Black utilizing American Rescue Plan funds?
That's so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. The next item on the agenda is a request for the dismissal of the non-essential employees after the safety luncheon on Thursday, which will be at completion of the safety lunch. All right, okay. Do I have a motion for the approval of the dismissal of the non-essential employees after the safety luncheon on Thursday?
That's so moved.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the Alabama Power additional light. I would entertain a motion to table this until we get further clarification from Alabama Power as to the relocation of possible other lights to this location and not increasing the number of lights. Do I have a motion to table? Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the promotion of Jacorian McCall from laborer to equipment operator one at the rate of $11.14 per hour. Do I have a motion to approve the promotion for Mr. McCall?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval to advertise for 2 equipment operator 2s at the rate of $13.98 per hour. And these positions at Public Works. So do I have a motion to approve for the advertisement of 2 equipment operators at $13.98 per hour?
That's so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval to advertise for labor at the rate of $10.26 per hour. This also would be for the Department of Public Works. Do I have a motion to approve the advertisement for labor at $10.26 per hour for Public Works?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the new hire of Mr. Titus Net as a custodian at $10.26 per hour. For field position approved by the council early at the community house. Do I have a motion to approve the hiring of Mr. Titus Net at $10.26 per hour as custodian? Make a motion. Okay. Do I have a second?
That's second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay, the next item on the agenda is resolution 2022-12-003, and this is network security policies and procedures for the adoption by the city of Monroeville. I believe a copy of it was provided, and the reason for this is make us eligible for future ALEA grants. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2022-12003 network security policies and procedures?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
That's second.
Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay, next item on the agenda is ordinance 2022-12-001. And this is an amendment to the zoning ordinance for medical cannabis dispensary. Let me suspend the rule. Do I have a motion to suspend the rule?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? I'll call for a vote. Call the roll, Ms. Hunt. Okay, Commissioner Bruton.
No.
Huh?
Councilmember.
Okay. My vote is no.
That's all you need. One vote, stops it.
To suspend the rules, yeah.
Well, you know,
To suspend the rules, yeah.
Okay. So. It would take a first read. Then be considered at the next council meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Do we? Yeah. Okay. So do I need to read the ordinance?
For the public.
Let's see. Where we got? Okay. This would be the first reading.
That in yellow is the new word.
You come along.
Well, that's the ordinance. And that's the wording.
Okay. All right, the current ordinance reads, whereas the city of Monroeville, Alabama, a municipal corporation is empowered to enact and amend ordinances to promote public health, safety, and general welfare, including progressive growth, convenience, and protection of property values of the city of Monroeville, be it ordained by the council of the city of Monroeville, Alabama, a municipal corporation that section 3-B2, District Article 13, Commercial Use Districts, 2.0, Permitted Uses, 2.2, Uses of Buildings of the zoning ordinance of the city of Monroeville is amended as follows. Section 3-B-2, District 2.0, Permitted Uses, 2.2, Uses of Buildings, residential structures existing at time of adoption, retail or wholesale businesses and services, provided that not over 80% of the establishment's floor area is used for warehousing, indoor automobile service, auto car wash, building supplies, farm equipment and supply sales and service, laundries, repair service shops, restaurants, including drive-ins, pharmacies, and medical cannabis dispensaries, subject to the regulations as set down by the State of Alabama Act 21-450. Wholesale excluding volatile uses, motels, hotels, service stations, tire repair, mini warehousing with offices off premises. And the only addition to the ordinance would be the
But
commercial.
You covered it in that.
Yeah, covered in here. Okay, so that satisfies the requirement of the first reading. Okay. So then we will take it up at the next council meeting.
And y'all better think long and hard. This has been tried in other places. It did not work. It's gonna be a nightmare for law enforcement. It's gonna be a nightmare for business. It's gonna be a nightmare for the city of Monroeville, period. The last statistics I saw, for every dollar you take in revenues, it costs you.
Councilman Hines, I think you're out of order, sir, and that we only did the read and there was no discussion to be held at that point. Thank you.
I wasn't discussing, I was making a statement.
Yes, sir. Okay, next item on the agenda is resolution 2022-12-004, a resolution declaring the city holidays for 2023. And do I have a motion to declare the city holidays for 2023 for the city of Monroe as being, you just gave it to me.
That last one is not what we discussed.
Yeah, we're gonna need to amend that to Monday and Tuesday. Right?
Monday, Tuesday, not Friday, Tuesday.
Which was
I
the,
changed the date on there. I just
it's
did-
not-
Date's correct, but
Yeah.
the day is not.
I correct the date on there.
all right. So we will make this as amended for Monday and Tuesday, December 25th and 26th. Okay,
I'll make a motion, we approve that amended list of holidays, yes.
okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval to hire Mr. Bob Crawford to complete emergency inspections as needed, with the inspection fee set at a rate of $35 per emergency inspection. Do I have a motion authorizing the retention of Mr. Bob Crawford on an as-needed basis for emergency electrical inspections at the rate of $35 per inspection?
25. First question. 25, the inspection permit is 35, the payment for him would be 25.
The inspection permit at 35 and payment from Mr. Bob Crawford at 25.
Per incident. That's right.
Okay, per incident. Okay,
So we,
do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Holidays. Yeah, there's public here. And also I had one other ordinance, and that was ordinance related to the, an ordinance, a resolution that was passed by the city supporting the establishment of a cannabis dispensary in the city of Monroeville, and which in addition will require the passage of an ordinance. I would entertain a motion to suspend the rule.
Make a motion.
Okay, it has been moved properly. Do I have a second?
No, sir.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any discussion? Okay, at this point, I will ask for a roll call vote. Councilman Paul.
I am, no.
Okay. All right, at this point, we have a no vote to suspend the rule, which would require a reading of the ordinance. Okay, city ordinance number 2022-12-002 reads as follows. Authorizing the operation of a medical cannabis dispensary within the corporate limits of the city of Monroeville. Whereas on May 17, 2021, the governor of the state of Alabama signed Darren Wesley ATO Hall Compensation Act into law, the act, and whereas the act provides for the medical use of marijuana for patients with a qualifying medical condition and a valid medical cannabis card, and whereas a dispensary may only be operated in a municipality if the municipality has passed an ordinance authorizing the operation of dispensaries within the municipality's corporate limits, and whereas the act authorizes and requires the Medical Cannabis Commission to heavily regulate dispensary operations. Looks like that's part of the code 20-2A-50, and also 20-2A-68 Code of Alabama, thus addressing any health, safety, or welfare concerns for the citizens of the city of Monroeville, Alabama. And whereas the location of a dispensary within the corporate limits of the city of Monroeville, Alabama would bring the total potential of hundreds of new employment opportunities for the citizens of the city of Monroeville, Alabama. And whereas a dispensary would be required to purchase a business license and pay sales tax into the city of Monroeville, Alabama, thus increasing revenue. Now therefore be it resolved by the city council of the city of Monroeville, Alabama, that it recognizes the opening of dispensing sites within the corporate limits of the city of Monroeville, Alabama, subject to any applicable zoning restrictions. The city of that's what it is.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that is a typo.
Mhm.
May adopt pursuant to Chapter 22A-51C3 of the Codes of Alabama. This meets the requirement of the read, and it will be taken up in discussion at the next council meeting. Okay, all right. The only other item that I have has to go with setting a public hearing. It has to do with the tax incentives for meat processing plant to be located here in the city of Monroeville, and that hearing be set for the second council meeting in January, which I'm not sure of the date, but I would entertain a motion to set a public hearing for the second council meeting in January for the purpose of discussing tax incentives for meat processing plant first in the city of Monroeville. 17, okay, on the 17th. Okay, and we need to do it at 4:50. Got agree? Okay, all right, I will entertain a motion.
Make that motion.
I entertain a second. And discussion. There being none, all in favor? Okay. All right. Okay, at this point, that's everything I have to check the council, Councilman Brooks.
I think the mayor and my fellow council members would join me in wishing all the city employees and Merry Christmas. And know that we appreciate all that y'all do. So,
Thank you.
Merry
Awesome.
Christmas, and I hope y'all have a happy new year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Council Thomas.
Merry Christmas.
Councilman Paul.
Merry Christmas.
They got it getting ready. It's saying, well, yeah.
That's the last,
Merry Christmas, yeah.
that's Bruton,
Very good.
Chief Black.
Merry Christmas and Mike's essential. I think he needs to work with us all day
I
Friday.
think I'll be.
Chief Angela.
Do we get the guard, do we get the tough to move yet?
It is at station 1, and so far we haven't had anybody come to anybody come to.
Chief Armstrong. Mr. Paul.
Merry Christmas. No.
Okay. Ms. Hunt.
Merry Christmas.
Ms. Smith.
Merry Christmas.
Well, on behalf of the city and myself and all of the council members, I just want to say that I appreciate all of the work that we have endeavored upon this year. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a very safe holiday period. Be conscious of all of the warnings that may be coming out related to weather. And I'm hoping that based on some of the information we received today, that we have a very prosperous new year. With that being said, I would entertain a motion. Yes, sir.
Oh, we need to make a motion to amend the community house entertainment.
Yes.
Yes.
The-
Yes. Yeah, I would entertain a motion to, for the wording and the conditions for the rental of the community house to, reflect when the security guards will be required for, contract or hired entertainment. And also that the city will accept, checks off personal businesses, well, off local businesses for security deposits.
Now, when you made that statement, there could be a volunteer band playing or something and also have. I don't know how specific we need to have wording to cover that.
You know, just thinking. I just,
I'm trying to bring up all the possibilities of. I mean, all you're trying to cover is the background music and somebody just having noise there being played through some type of stereo system in actually live performance. I think somewhere in there that needs to be added. I don't know, piano player, is that gonna be included?
Well, should we basically say, contract or hire entertainment or no? I don't know, I know
That's why I'm
it's so vague right now
It-
that anything that you have basically requires 2 security guards.
Yeah.
And in most instances where security guards are required is they have hired somebody to provide entertainment, and you got dancing, you got alcohol being served. So,
The only thing you're trying to allow is some type of background music for that that's usually not live
right,
and to cover that part of it. Again, where's the limit on where we say?
well, and I guess in other instances, like if you had, for instance, a church group that came in and they wanted to bring a choir. You know, that would not be hired or contract.
Okay.
And that will allow that to.
but yeah, it'd be live entertainment, but it wouldn't be.
Well, see, that's why I was trying to make a distinction between.
Yeah, that's why.
I think,
And so,
we'll get the version of it.
can we just make an exception to the rule when it's requested? Would that be the easiest thing to do?
We're,
I don't know.
back again on one of those
No, I don't know.
threatening the needle.
Let me,
I'm not basing it on how many people are gonna be there.
we'll, let me, let us do
Have
this.
200, have two, or gonna have 50 or less, have more.
If, why don't we, we can actually go through and table it and bring it up and have some discussion with our chief and, the staff to see how we can make this right. Because I do know that the concern is if you like that group that was coming in, you know, if they're truly, if we read it the way that it reads, regardless, you gotta have basically 2 security guards there.
And I'm glad, I'm fine with getting away from that. What, somebody's gonna figure out a way to kind of get around it one way or the other if we have it pretty specific.
But, and, you know, it's gonna kind of put a little bit of a burden on the person, the city employee that's there. I mean, they're gonna have to know what the ground rules are for that venue, you know, so.
And, you know, I understand that in the past it came up because you actually had hired entertainers, DJs or whoever to come in, and then there was stuff that happened afterwards. And so that's why I was looking at it from the standpoint that if they are hired a contracted, then if somebody decides that they want to, you know, have a show, I think it says in there, they charge admission, they gotta have security guards. We'll table it to the next council meeting. I entertain,
One more thing on the YMCA resolution.
oh, yeah,
We need to-
yeah, that is correct. Do I have a motion to, adopt a resolution to provide an additional $12,500 to cover the requested proposal for the expenses of the YMCA to be paid from our contingency fund.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
What you make the motion? Who made the motion?
I do.
Okay, and Councilman Thompson second. Okay, any discussion?
You know, I really think Ricky ought to come, you know, he didn't come for the appropriation. He didn't get on the Zoom today. I mean, he should at least owe us that courtesy to show up.
If we can't call it in the system.
Right.
We'll make notation of that. Our minutes providing copy. Okay. All right, any further discussion? There being none, all in favor? Merry Christmas.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the meeting, we're on the city campus. You never got me.
Well, I appreciate it, Bill. I have to get on that one there, that. Gotta look at it. Somebody.
Do what then?
Put it in the car. I had to work. No, I'm telling. I tell her to get something out of there. Yeah. You got anything else? Is your car unlocked? Oh, okay. I'll be right back. We gotta give him some ribs for that. You gotta give him some ribs or whatever.
I'll wait for something.